We're back, and I got to tell you, our guest never fails to please, surprise, and amaze me. And I so wish I'd had a chance to take a course under this man, Dr. Ken Hicks, who teaches on campus here at Rogers State. Dr. Hicks, Oklahoma has had a colorful past in terms of politics, going all the way back to the days of statehood. Can you bring out some of the governors that might have been noteworthy from your perspective?
There are so many. Obviously, the first, Republican governor, Dewey Bartlett, or was it Dewey Bartlett? I think he was very interesting. I think in the what was it, the guy that the Republican that signed the education bill in 1990. My colleague Carolyn Taylor helped draft that legislation. I think he's a very important figure. I think there are so many. In terms.
Would that have been Henry Bellman?
Yes, Henry Bellman. Yeah, correct. I think it's fascinating when you look early in the 20th century when the Oklahoma legislature went through a variety of impeachments. They got impeachment frenzy, and any time a governor stepped out of line, they'd run him out of office. I think it's amazing. We do have a very colorful history, and it's our politics has tended to be filled with intense creedal passion. And we tend to imbue an awful lot of our politics with these really intense convictions. And I think that's really, we have always, I think Oklahoma's always been a conservative state, which is, characteristic. Oklahoma Democrats have tended to be, conservative, on the conservative ideological end of the spectrum. I think today the Republican Party has kind of shifted beyond, conservatism and into, Trumpism, if you will, which I don't think has a discernible ideology. It is simply sort of a cult of personality. I'll be interested to see what happens with our current governor going forward, because I think a couple of the fights he has picked and his handling of the coronavirus, may put him in some jeopardy, not necessarily from a Democrat, but perhaps from, a primary challenger.
I wouldn't be at all surprised, not in the very least. Many years ago, I had an opportunity to sit and talk in a setting away from the political spectrum with a couple of our governors. I was very interested to learn that the governor at the time, Henry Bellman, was talking about the potential of 1017, the bill I think you referred to earlier, and he was very pro-education, and he said, one of the failures we have in this state is we fail to spend enough money on public education. And yet, as I look around, it seems like, his words of wisdom have been thrown out the window as we steer, or somebody steers, of course, more toward private education using taxpayer dollars. Am I reading that correctly?
I think you are. I think the challenge here again is Republicans going all the way back to the New Deal era have had the ideology of less government is better. And that has, percolated down to the state level where, the mantra is let's do less with more, let's find efficiencies, let's do, a better job of managing taxpayer dollars. The idea that that taxes are investments, is one famous, I can't remember the name of the judge, I'm terrible with names today. One judge said, taxes are the price we pay for civilization. And if you, consistently underinvest in things like education, your civilization suffers. And I think that is a real problem. And I am deeply skeptical of entirely privatized education. I am sort of neutral with regard to charter schools. I think they can be done well. But I think at the end of the day, the mandate of communities is to educate children so that they can go out and be successful citizens. And I go back, in 2017 when the state legislature, initiated a savage 17% cut to higher education.
I remember.
That cost got shifted onto, our children. Our children have to pay higher, tuition fees because these folks thought they could save some money. And they literally did it because they were cutting taxes.
Every year the Tulsa World puts out a list of high school seniors in the Tulsa and Claremore area who have been granted scholarships, academic scholarships, or who have done exceptionally well on their SATs. And I can't help but think, had we put more money into public education, those numbers could have been a lot higher.
Oh yeah, to know, to be clear, you have to pay teachers enough to make it worth their while to make, most people don't go into education for the money, but you do attract better and you retain better teachers. As with many things in life, most people, who start off in education, they are out within 5 years usually because they find they simply can't teach effectively. You have to have a certain skill set. Now that skill set can be improved. When you invest more in education, you can devote more time to, getting people looking into the classroom and finding out, is this teacher effective? What can we do to make them more effective? What curriculum changes can we make to make things like mathematics more accessible? Schools got rid of music programs, and we know now, and we've always known really, that music was an incredible gateway into mathematics. That people that learn music effectively are not as mystified by mathematics. That was a penny wise, pound foolish kind of thing that we have been doing with education for 50 years. And we have to recognize that you have to invest in education in order for it to work well.
Well, it's kind of a sad state of affairs when you realize how much money is not being spent. And I look around at this splattering of students, where they've gone to college, where they chose to end up. And you have students at virtually all institutions of higher education all across the country, top 10 colleges as well, places like Duke and even West Point, and the Air Force Academy, although as of late I'm a little skeptical of some of the things I hear out of the Air Force Academy. But it seems to me that just like you said, if public funds were increased, we would see an incredible payoff. It's pretty much interesting too to note that I thought, I'm originally from Arkansas, and we used to say, thank God for Mississippi, because our folks over there didn't, when they were elected, pay much attention to taking care of public education. And yet they managed to keep us up one level from the bottom of the economics ladder of states, which is where Mississippi seemed to want to reside. We were just above them. Over here, we've got all the states that surround us really knuckling down, trying to do their best, except Texas. And I don't understand that. As much money as they've got, or they had prior to this pandemic, to work toward better education, they didn't seem to really want to do it.
No, and again, it gets back to, I think, learning the wrong lessons from politics. The common sense these days, or the conventional wisdom, is that non-college educated whites are the core Republican constituency. And too many Republicans take that lesson to say, well, we better hold on to that group and not necessarily spend that much money on education and not make it so accessible, because once people get college educations, they stop being Republicans. That's actually not true. And in fact, to me, the problem that they confront is that their message has become incoherent. That, far from the Reaganism, that was a clearly articulated ideological viewpoint. The marriage of sort of big business country club republicanism with Southern, religious conservatism, that marriage
Dr. Hicks,
has broken down. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to do this. We're completely out of time. Will you come back?
I will, happily.
We'll look forward to that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Hicks, and wear a mask out there. We'll see you next time.